I told a friend of mine today about Richard Dawkins' new series on the genius of Charles Darwin. It's about 150 years of the theory of evolution by natural selection. It's very good. I recommend you watch it if you can. So, in this first episode of this series, Richard Dawkins confronts a group of young students, teenagers, from a science class, many of whom are perfectly able to speak their mind and who are declared creationists. And of course he tells them that evolution is a fact. Life has evolved on this planet is billions of years old, and life has been evolving on it for most of that time. My friend, on hearing that, judged Richard Dawkins. He said, "I don't like that man, he is very dismissive and arrogant." I find that quite peculiar, why he would say that, for a number of reasons. First of all, what is his reason for saying that? He seems to forget that Richard Dawkins has had decades of expertise behind him, his own personal expertise in this subject. He has studied biology, evolution, and so on and so forth for years and years and years. He knows what he's talking about. So when presented with a claim like, "The earth is 6,000 years old because it says so in my Bible," he has every right in the world to dismiss such a claim as nonsensical and to demand evidence to be presented if the person making that claim wants to be taken seriously at all. He does not have to go and investigate such a claim on an ad hoc basis whenever it is made, for the very simple reason that he knows from all the evidence that he has already seen that the claim cannot be true. The evidence is clear. The earth is ancient. Life is ancient. All life forms on this planet are related to each other. And there's no denying that. So he is quite right to demand extraordinary evidence if somebody wants to make a claim to the opposite. That is not being dismissive. That is not being arrogant. What is being dismissive and being arrogant is to dismiss Mr. Dawkins and all that expertise based on something that a kid read in an ancient book, and even then only in a few short, ambiguous paragraphs. But it's even worse than that. Richard Dawkins can demand evidence. People tend to respond to such demands for evidence by pulling the faith card. Now, this is my deep religious belief. It is my faith. It isn't open to logical interpretation or interrogation. That is a falsehood for a very simple reason. They demand that Mr. Dawkins, Professor Dawkins, should believe in their extraordinary claim. If they did not do that, they would be right to pull the faith card. If they told Mr. Dawkins that they believe that the earth was 6,000 years old, and it's just their personal belief system and don't worry about it, then Richard Dawkins would probably just shrug and says, "Okay, if that's what you want to believe in, be my guest." But no, this is a religious belief, and a religious belief of the type that claims to have the one and only true way to something called salvation, for example. They are making a claim that directly affects the non-believer. They are making a claim about another person. And they owe, whether they like it or not, they owe that other person an explanation. If you are going to sit there, condemn another person to hell, for example, because they do not share your belief system, then you owe that other person that you're so readily condemning an explanation, and not just any old explanation, an explanation that the other person, the person you are talking to and the person you are talking about, will find understandable and acceptable. If you cannot provide such an explanation, you fail miserably. Now there is true dismissiveness, true arrogance, true unwillingness to engage. And yet, people watch Richard Dawkins' programs and they judge Richard Dawkins. They do not judge his religious opponents. Why is that? Simple. Because we have been conditioned in our societies to respect religion. You can hold the most offensive, obnoxious, disgusting opinions about anything. But as long as you're clever enough to shield yourself by saying, I have to hold these opinions because they are part of my religion, then apparently you're beyond reproach. You cannot be criticized for holding such opinions. And that, of course, is patent nonsense.